All right, so we're going to move forward into our first section. I'm going to scroll over. You're welcome to scroll over with me. And I'm going to reveal a retro overview. So a retro overview, there's a few elements I want to talk about retrospectives. There is a green box on the far right that is a feedback box. As I'm talking, if you want to throw something out there to say, hey, oh my, things are moving. Thanks, Clement. If you want to throw comments out there to the right where it says feedback, you're welcome to do that as I'm going through this, okay? So retrospectives, let me unlock this real quick. My thing is moving. There we go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Unclick here. There we go. Move that down. All right. An effective retrospective. What is an effective retrospective? For me, my definition, and you're going to hear different definitions from different people, but my definition of an effective retrospective is one where you have good team conversation with the purpose of coming out with 1 to 3 experiments to improve on that team's performance. So let's break this down a little bit. First of all, if you're having a retrospective, which you should be, and hopefully that's why you're here, you got to make sure you've got the right people. So who are the right people to have in a retrospective? My encouragement to you would be the people who are doing the work. So if you've got a team or a group or an org or a bunch of friends, if they're working on something and they want to get better over time, you want to make sure you get those people in the retrospective. Who do you want to not have in the retrospective? I would say onlookers, people who don't have a vested interest in the day-to-day performance, managers, people at a high level. And I know many of you are like, well, I have to have my manager in the retrospective. Maybe if that's your organizational requirement, you have to. But I'm telling you, if you want to get the most value out of a retro, bring in the people who have skin in the game, the ones who are actually doing the work. That's the right people. That's who you want to be working to improve the practice of the team over time. So you want to get the right people in the room. Also, you want to have the right amount of time. So how long are you looking backwards? If you're looking backwards 6 months, you probably need more than 30 minutes to talk through that. There's probably going to be more to unpack. Now, what I always like to do is try to see if I can get an hour and a half, or at the most 2 hours, because most of the teams I work with work on 2-week or 1 month iterations. So every 2 weeks or every month we're talking. And so I look for anywhere between an hour to 2 hours. The nice thing about having more time than what you need is that you can always end a retro early. If you go through all your planned activities, you've got your experiment, you've had good conversation about how to move forward, you can end early. That's great. The common input I hear from teams is they don't have enough time, that they're always pressed, that they have to rush at the very end and they don't get their action items well documented. So I would say look for maybe more than enough time and then scale back. Now, again, your organization may mandate you have this much time and that's all you're allowed. You got to do the best you can with what you have. But I'm telling you, start with the right people and try to start your best with the right time for 2 weeks. If you're doing Scrum, if you're doing a 2-week iteration, you really want to have an hour, ideally an hour and a half, but find the right time that works for your team. You want to have the right purpose. Make sure the team knows why they're there. A lot of times we're doing a retro. Why? Because we have to. Okay, what does that mean to me? So make sure they understand the purpose of the retro. The retro is for the team. If it's well explained, the team should actually be really excited about having a retrospective because it's their opportunity to inspect and adapt their processes. So make sure you make the right purpose clear and then the right activities. I'll talk a bit more about activities in a second, but it's important that as you're building the plan, you provide the team with the right framework through which to go through the retrospective. So if you went in and you said, what are we gonna do today? We're gonna talk about stuff to do better. Okay, what do? Talk about stuff to do better. That's not a good activity for a retrospective. You wanna come in and have a nicely laid out plan with activities for each phase of the retro. I'll get into that a little bit more here in the future. You wanna have the right flow. I can't tell you how many times I, as the Scrum Master, Agile Coach, have planned a retrospective and I had it planned beautifully. I tell you, my plan was flawless. And about 30 minutes in, the team hit something that they didn't expect to hit. There was a nugget of inspiration or a challenge or something surfaced that no one was expecting. And I had to adapt the flow of the meeting to match what the team was uncovering. So even if you prepare the perfect retrospective and you have the perfect plan, always make sure that as a facilitator, you're facilitating the flow. And sometimes that flow can take you in unexpected places, and you can find learning where you didn't expect to find anything. So be willing to flow with your retrospectives. And then you're looking for the right outcome. And what does that mean? Look back at my definition of an effective retrospective. You want to have some experiments to improve. If you get together with your group in a retro and you talk about really good stuff, and then you leave, then you haven't started to change anything. You just had a really great conversation. And great conversation is good. We need more good conversations in our organizations, but you want to make sure you're having a conversation with a purpose to have effective outcomes. And those effective outcomes are 1 to 3 experiments to improve the team's processes. Don't do 50, don't do 10, don't do 5. Start small and lead from there, but start small. Make sure the team has the practice of finishing things, and then you can add more as you grow and you mature as a team. And then last.